The snow had been falling for days, turning the mountains into a silent white world where even the wind seemed to move with caution. In that frozen wilderness, far from roads, far from people, a lone, pregnant wolf struggled forward. Her breath came out in heavy clouds, her legs trembled with every step, and the life growing inside her made each movement slower and more painful. Hunger gnawed at her, exhaustion blurred her vision, and the cold pressed into her bones like a relentless enemy. She had survived many winters before, but this one felt different. This one felt final. As she reached the edge of a small human settlement hidden between the trees, her strength gave out. She collapsed into the snow, her body half buried, her eyes slowly closing as if the world was gently pulling her toward sleep. For a long moment, nothing moved. The forest watched in silence. This was the law of nature. The weak fall, the strong continue. But inside the wolf, something refused to surrender. It was not fear for herself, but a deeper instinct, a promise to the unborn lives she carried. She remembered the warmth of her pack, the rhythm of running together, the safety of shared howls under the moon. She remembered why she had kept walking when every muscle screamed to stop. With a final surge of will, she lifted her head and let out a low, broken sound. Not a howl of threat, but a plea born from desperation. Inside one of the small wooden cabins, a man sat near a stove, listening to the storm outside. He was no stranger to the mountains or their dangers. He had learned long ago to respect nature's power, but also to listen to it. That night, through the howl of the wind, he heard something else. It was faint, almost lost in the storm, but it carried pain. He stood up, hesitated, and then reached for his coat. Opening the door meant letting the cold in, meant risking an encounter with the wild, but it also meant answering a call that could not be ignored. He opened the door. The blast of freezing air hit him immediately, but so did the sight that stopped him in place. There, just beyond the threshold, lay the wolf. Her fur was matted with snow, her sides rising and falling with shallow breaths, her eyes half open yet strangely calm. This was not a creature ready to attack. This was a mother at the edge of life. For a brief second, human fear and ancient instinct clashed within him. Wolves were predators. Wolves were dangerous. But suffering, he realized, looks the same in every living being. Slowly, carefully, he stepped back and left the door open. The wolf did not move at first. Trust did not come easily. Generations of fear lived in her blood. But the warmth spilling out of the open doorway reached her senses. It was unfamiliar, but it was life. Inch by inch, dragging her weakened body, she crossed the invisible line between wild and human. She collapsed again just inside the doorway, as if she had given everything she had left. The man closed the door gently behind her, sealing out the storm. And in that moment, two worlds met, not as enemies, but as survivors. The hours that followed were quiet and tense. The man kept his distance, offering water, placing food nearby, never making sudden movements. The wolf lay still, conserving energy, her eyes watching every breath he took. The warmth of the fire slowly returned strength to her frozen body. As time passed, her breathing steadied and the tremors in her legs eased. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside that small cabin, something powerful was happening. Compassion was rewriting a story that fear had told for centuries. By morning, the wolf gave birth. The sounds were soft, almost hidden, but full of life. Tiny bodies, fragile and perfect, entered the world on a floor warmed by human hands and human mercy. The man watched from a distance, understanding that this moment was not his to claim. He had opened the door, nothing more. The rest belonged to her. In that fragile circle of new life, the wolf found the strength she thought she had lost forever. Her eyes no longer carried only exhaustion. They carried fire, purpose, and unbreakable resolve. When the storm finally passed, the wolf stood again. This time, her legs held firm. She looked at the man one last time, not with fear, not with gratitude as humans define it, but with recognition. A recognition that sometimes survival depends not only on strength, but on connection. Then she gathered her pups one by one and stepped back into the snow-covered world. The forest welcomed her return, and the door closed softly behind her. This story is not only about a wolf and a man. It is about moments when life pushes us to the edge, when the weight we carry feels heavier than our strength, when the cold seems endless and the path forward disappears. It's about the courage to take one more step, even when collapse feels inevitable. And it's about the power of opening a door, whether that door is to help someone else or to allow help into our own lives. Sometimes the greatest strength is not in fighting alone, but in trusting when everything inside you says to give up. Sometimes the smallest act of compassion can change the course of many lives. And sometimes, when you think the storm has won, when you are lying in the snow with nothing left, all it takes is one door opening to remind you that hope still exists.